We welcome you back to Longhorn Weekly with head coach Shaka Smart. Oh, yeah, we have a special guest with us as well.
Welcome to the show, Matt Coleman.
What's up, baby? How we doing?
Good to have you back as well. This is
It's been a minute.
Yeah, I started to say it's been a minute, but it's the third time you've been. So you've been on more than any other player since Coach has been around. So, like everything else, it must make you feel like a veteran, right?
Yeah, man. Just a lot of work that's been done, and just my time here has been valued. So.
How different, or is there much difference in what you're asking of Matt and what the staff is asking of Matt now, as opposed to his first two seasons?
We've always asked a lot of him. He started every game since he got here, so he has a lot of, as we say, hard-won wisdom. But this year as a junior, particularly with us not having any seniors on our roster, we've asked for much more leadership from him, and he probably feels like we're never satisfied because there's always steps to take as a team. But he's clearly, taken a big jump as a player, and really excited about the progress that he's going to continue to make.
Do you feel older?
I do feel older. I feel older. I just feel more mature, and I just feel like I'm taking steps in the right direction.
What's the biggest difference for you now as a junior than as a freshman? Just in your makeup, I'm not even necessarily talking about what you're doing on the basketball court, but just you as a junior in college as opposed to a freshman.
I just overall it just comes with just growth, just learning things about yourself, learning things about the people around you, relationships growing, me taking ownership of the things I have to do first off on an everyday basis to become a better man, a better player, a better child, a better, so just doing just focusing on little things that happen in my life that will cause me to be just an overall better person.
Shaka, would you say that because I've heard you discuss this kind of along the lines of a checklist of what you and the staff want your guys to work on, say in the off season or during the season, that sort of thing, the things that you wanted from him from the time he got on campus and how his progress has gone in terms of checking those boxes and doing the things that you and the staff expect of him?
Well, Matt's a worker. I mean, he's really put in a ton of effort, a ton of time. Unfortunately, you can never really put a timetable on progress. He's made continual progress since he got here. I think for him and for me and our staff, we always want him to take these huge leaps and bounds, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you might initially think. But I do think from his freshman year to his sophomore year, and then from sophomore year to now, he's just made incredible gains. He's much more confident as a player. But I'll be honest with you, the biggest thing that I've been on him about is not getting too comfortable, always wanting more. So even as we sit here on the show talking about his progress, what we want is for him to have that real urgency and aggressive passion for taking the next step.
Has that been a battle for you, the comfort thing about, I guess there's a fine line between being settled in as a team leader and by the same token, not getting too comfortable in your seat?
I think it really hit me my sophomore last year, just having the humility. We always talked about just having the humility to be able to respond and to not be content or complacent in how you are in that moment, and that's just the biggest thing that I have learned just going into this year, just not getting too comfortable, not getting complacent, always wanting more, and always know that there's more work that can and that needs to be done.
Here's a question I want both of you to address. I was thinking about this earlier today, and that is not only with Matt's progression as a player, but the guys that he's seeing in the league and has seen in the league the last couple of years, and how those guys have grown, the relationship and the competitive drive that fuels guys when they go up against each other in multiple seasons in conference play.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we actually had a game recently, and I grabbed Matt. I think it was during the game or before the game. I was like, don't be too friendly with him. Talking about one of the guys he was going up against, because in this day and age, players tend to be pretty friendly with each other. But the key is to have a unbelievably aggressive mindset, when the ball goes up in the air and it's live. But I think one real positive of his experience here is he's gone against some of the best guards in the country. He's gone toe-to-toe with those guys. He's outplayed a lot of those guys. And now he's learned certain things from playing against those guys. He's learned certain things about himself. And hopefully he can continue to grow in terms of consistency. Because if you look at some of the guys that he's played well against and how good those guys are and even what they're doing at the next level, it shows you how good he can be.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, how we talked about your evolution as a player. How about your relationship with opposing players in this league, guys that you know, guys that you just gotten to know, about what that relationship and what that competitive drive has been like when you've gone up against these guys multiple times through your career?
That's just something that I've always owned up to, and just how I've always been. If the guy standing across from me, if I know him really well, or if I know his projection, or however you want to say that, I know that I was going to compete at a high level playing against him. And when Coach talks about like my consistency and not getting complacent, it's like doing that every night. Coach always says, like, I'm not worried about you on the nights that we play like Kansas or we play so-and-so. It's the days we play like the mid-majors or the teams that are not highly talked about. So that's where I have to just get more consistent in doing that. But just my time here playing against guys like Devontae Graham and Trey Young, and this year you got Tyrese Halliburton, Devin Dotson. So giving much respect to them, but also knowing that I'm just as good and I'm going to compete at a high level when the ball is thrown up in the air.
And those are all guards. I was curious about this the other night. You and David McCormick were high school teammates,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and so that's different because he's a post player. I mean,
And
visit with him much?
Lindell Wigginton was on the same team.
Lindell
Yeah.
Wigginton as well on that same team.
So, it's always a little friendly competition there because we still stay in touch, we still talk. But at the end of the day, it's Texas versus Kansas, Texas versus Iowa State, and I'm trying to win. So.
All right, we're going to have more with Matt Coleman coming up when we continue with Longhorn Weekly from here at Pluckers, the West Campus location here in Austin. We'll continue in a moment. Matt trying to circle around Garrett Doves. Drives down the paint, but cut off there by Azubuike. Switches back out top to Ramey to the left side. Matt Coleman with 10 to shoot. Coleman retreating with the dribble now against Enaruna. Trying to drive on him, shoots over him, a long three, and it's good. Nothing but net there. Matt with 9 in the first half, and the game is tied at 19. Back on Longhorn Weekly. That Coach Shaka Smart, as you just heard there, and saw there's where Matt Coleman draining that three against Kansas early on. Matt is, we were talking about this earlier, about you being the highest percentage three-point shooter on this team. How much, because it's just a part of everything you do in terms of distributing the basketball, driving, shooting, mid-range, outside, whatever, do you enjoy three-point shooting as much as anything else?
I take a lot of pride, and it just feels good when the ball goes in, because I know that I spent a lot of time working on my three-point shot, and then coming in from a freshman to sophomore to now, just watching my percentage steady just rise, and from it now, me being shooting over 40%, it feels good that the work that I've been doing is being put to good use.
How important is it for a player to, with again all the things that you do, to understand what you're capable of, not trying to force anything, and yet when your team is down or needs a shot or needs something like that, to understand when the moment and the time is right for you to take control of that from a scoring perspective?
I just think that just comes with the job of just being a point guard, just knowing when I need to get guys certain shots, when I need to be ultra aggressive, when it's okay for me to just get a shot up, to get in the flow of the game. So it's just finding the just depending on the flow and then how things are going for myself, my teammates, and just finding matchups that you can exploit, or just certain things within the offense that allows Texas to just get a team score at that possession.
I always ask you when you've come back the last couple of years, where do you feel that you have come farthest in your game, and by the same token, what part of your game do you still feel, I don't know if unsatisfied is the proper word, but just where you want to continue to see the development?
Besides like the basketball, I think overall just like continuing to work on my presence on the floor, just making sure my presence is always felt during a 40-minute game. If that's with my voice, with my play, with my leadership, with my unselfishness, with my selfishness, in a good way. Just making sure my presence is always felt. And like with the basketball, I think overall, just when you have a confidence, it just allows you to play better in all aspects. And I know I'm still growing in certain things, just like reading plays off the pick and roll better, making more plays with my right hand as well as I make them with my left hand. So just certain small things like that, being able to get to my spots and finding ways to get a shot off instead of turning the ball over or having to make resets, what we call them. So just certain little things that I just want to clean up. So
when you look at upcoming opponents, we talked about the quick 2-day turnaround that you had last week. You got another one, although this one's at home this week. A team you haven't seen yet this season, Texas Tech. And then, of course, Baylor coming in on Monday, a team that you did see earlier. What goes through your mind when you are preparing for two teams in a short amount of time, even though you got the one right in front of you first against Tech?
I just think the biggest thing, like with Texas Tech, just knowing them as having a really great program, these past couple of years with Chris Beard, and just knowing with Texas Tech and Baylor, we both have them at home. So that gives us a sense of comfort, or I shouldn't say comfort, but a sense of like, I don't know what you want to say, but we're at home, so we need to protect the home floor. So that's what we should have in mind going into the game. With Texas Tech, with Baylor, just because two really good teams in our conference that we know we can contend with, but we have to do certain things for the results that we want to happen.
And when you're playing at home, you talk about protecting the home floor. Do you guys get a real good energy vibe when things are going well and your home crowd's behind you?
Yeah, any team does. Anytime they're playing at home, you have your home crowd, your home fans, your family. You have all the little uncontrollables that go into a factor when you're playing at home that you feed off. So
the other thing that comes to mind is we talked about Tech with Baylor coming in on Monday. You've already seen them one time. The most oft-mentioned thing about Baylor in their season this year is how well they guard and how well they play defense as well. How about your impressions of what you guys want to do this time around because of the challenge you got from them the first time in Waco?
They like Baylor, a lot of respect to them. They're playing really well right now. Number one team in the country, and that should just be exciting for us to have the number one team in the country, middle of conference. Coming into our home floor. Competed with them throughout most of the game until they got away at the end. But we know like the things that we need to do, like the details that we need to own up to in order for us to score or get a good shot of possession. And then on the defensive end, just guarding and just taking pride on defense that they say we have to be better than them on Monday. So.
Okay, appreciate the time. Thanks, Matt.
No problem.
Matt Coleman with us here. Coach Sparrow joins us. We'll preview the matchup with Texas Tech coming up when Longhorn Weekly continues from here at Pluckers on the Longhorn Network and the Longhorn Radio Network from Learfield, I am Chicago.